Okay, I think it's a good time to begin, and well, welcome everyone, bonjour, and thank you so much for joining us in this information session about the BRIDGE project that bridges private finance and conservation. I have had the opportunity to meet some of you, and it's a pleasure to see you, and for those I have not met, it's a pleasure to meet you virtually. My name is Katy de la Garza, and I am the Executive Director of Forever Costa Rica. We're very grateful that FFEM and all of you have trusted us with the administration of Project BRIDGE. Today, we'll learn more about how to benefit from this great opportunity, since we all know that engaging with the private sector in conservation finance is a must to achieve the 30 by 30 goals. And this project allows the 19 CAFÉ and 27 RedLAC members to apply for funding to develop innovative projects with the private sector as we try to transform their practices and get them to invest with us. As communities of practice that we are, the project also focuses on sharing experiences between the funds in our networks. And the idea is to mentor one another through different kinds of exchanges, since our funds are in very different organizational phases. So welcome again, and I will now pass the floor to Leonardo Garcia, our BRIDGE project coordinator, who has been working in the Forever Costa Rica Trust Fund for over 8 years, and after a long and careful selection process has been chosen to lead this exciting initiative for us all. I look forward to working with you in all of our powerful communities of practice, and thank you, and Leo, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Katy. Good morning, good afternoon, dear colleagues. I'm very pleased to meet you all. It is my pleasure to serve as project coordinator for this new initiative funded by FFEM and MAVA. As Katy pointed out, I've been working at Forever Costa Rica Association for almost 9 years. So I have a very good understanding and knowledge about the culture, the dynamics, the procedures within conservation trust funds, CTFs. So we all hope that this expertise and trajectory can help us with the successful implementation of the initiative. Before I get into the details of today's session, I'm going to make a brief parenthesis for our French-speaking colleagues. Bonjour à tous et toutes. Cet événement sera déroulé en anglais, mais pour les participants francophones, on aura une interprétation simultanée. Vous devez choisir le canal audio correspondant qui se trouve dans la partie inférieure droite de l'écran. De cette manière, vous pourrez avoir une meilleure interaction dans la séance. À tous et toutes, bienvenue et merci beaucoup. All right, so now let me give you the specific details about today's agenda. We're gonna open the floor to Karen Price, President of CAFÉ, and Jorge Oviedo, President of RedLAC, who will give us opening remarks about this project and about this session. Then we are going to hear from Stein Catuli, CAFÉ Secretariat, who's going to give us a context of the project. Then I'm going to go back and give you specific details, technical and financial details about this initiative. And at the end, we are going to open up the floor for questions and answers. We appreciate it if you can type down in the chat your name and the name of the organization that you represent. And also feel free to use that chat for questions and answers. This session will be recorded, and we're gonna share the link with you and with other CTF members who were not able to join us today. So Ms. Karen and Mr. Jorge, the floor is yours. Welcome again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Leo. I think it's my humble task this afternoon to give the floor to Jorge just to kick off the greetings and the welcome remarks. So Jorge, please, over to you.
Morning, Karen. I'm here.
Hello, afternoon.
Hello, nice to see you. Okay. Well, greetings to everyone. Dear RedLAC members, CAFÉ Presidency, and membership Forever Costa Rica Association. and bridge coordination. It is an honor to share with you today the launch of this project, as we are gathered here to learn more about how we can all be part of this initiative. I reaffirm our commitment and gratitude for allowing RedLAC to be part of this execution and implementation of this project. It allows us to contribute with our experience and interinstitutional articulation to carry out various actions for our membership and our networks. Having present the history with Project K, Project BRIDGE seeks to innovate through ways to engage with the private sector, and we are deeply privileged, grateful, and joyful to embark on this journey with our sister network of CAFÉ. We are sure this journey will only make our bond and alliance stronger. As the component of this project are innovation fund, capacity building, and knowledge management, it is clear that this project brings real and concrete opportunities for all of our members. In this slide, I call on all our members to take advantage of this project. Is this an incredible opportunity for all of us to empower our current efforts, grow our connections, and work better towards conservation? RedLAC thanks FFEM and MAVA, the sponsor of this project, thanks the CAFÉ presidency and Secretariat, the RedLAC, the Secretariat and the Forever Costa Rica Association for the work done so far and the work that is ahead. And again, many thanks to all of you who are participating. Let's make the Project BRIDGE our own. Good morning and good afternoon for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jorge, for getting the ball rolling. I think on behalf of CAFÉ and the CAFÉ membership and the executive committee, it's also a warm welcome to RedLAC and CAFÉ members this morning or afternoon, depending on where you are, as we have waited quite a while to kickstart the Bridge project, and we are very excited that we're able to have this information session this afternoon. I'd like to also thank Forever Costa Rica, who are taking the lead role in project implementation, and also the new team that is on board to coordinate the project, and that is the RedLAC Secretariat and also the project coordination team. As Jorge has already mentioned, this is an exciting and an important project that builds on the lessons we learned from Project K, looking at how we can equip or build the capacity of conservation trust funds to have more impact, to mobilize more resources, and to have better conservation results as we move towards the new 2030 biodiversity framework. And this really is an opportunity for conservation trust funds to think outside the box, to look at how we can create new and exciting and innovative partnerships with the private sector, and how we can develop financial mechanisms that can make conservation trust funds grow from the level that we are at now to a new level as a result of the implementation of this project. So it is an opportunity for us all to transform our practices and to develop innovative initiatives, and to also make use of the window of opportunity that the project provides to apply for financing, for feasibility studies, among other things. So once again, this is, I think we're looking forward to a meaningful and productive exchange between RedLAC and CAFÉ, as we have done in the previous years. And we encourage all of you all to participate and be involved in all the steps of the project. And I think those will be made a lot clearer to everybody in the course of this information session. Once again, I'd also like to thank our donors, FFEM and MAVA, who came forward to support this project. It is a 4-year project, and I think we continue to play an important role in the sector, and we continue to promote CTFs as the best and efficient channel for financing of conservation. So with those few remarks, thank you so much. We look forward to this information session, and yeah, over to you, Leo. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen, and thank you very much, Jorge, for these kind words. Now I'm gonna open up the floor to Stein. Please, Stein, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Leo. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Stein Kaduli, and my humble responsibility this afternoon is simply to provide a contextual overview of the BRIDGE project. And as you can see, I'm beginning with the problem statement. This project, the main problem which is being addressed by this project is that of unmet demand for funding of conservation programs. And this main problem has been there as a result of some two contributing factors. And these two factors are also serving as direct threats. The first threat is that the private sector does not provide significant funding for conservation efforts. And the second threat, which also happens to be the last threat, is that biodiversity mainstreaming is something which is just developing across new sectors. And again, these direct threats, they also have their own root causes. Like the first root cause is that opportunities, when it comes to opportunities that combine conservation impacts and financial returns at sufficient scale are so rare. And the other root cause is that market-based conservation projects are not sufficiently replicated. So in a nutshell, I think the main point that we have to capture is that this project is there to address the major problem, which is that of unmet demand for funding of conservation programs. Next slide. Yeah, now what would be the role of conservation trust funds in the implementation of this project? I think to begin with, it's good for us to appreciate that this BRIDGE project is bringing with it its own financial support. And this financial support is coming in form of one, innovation grants. It is also coming as support for communities of practice. And finally, it is also coming as support for knowledge management. So all these three forms of support, they're being channeled to members of CAFÉ and RedLAC that are being perceived as conveners, builders, and aggregators. Now, looking at CTFs at CAFÉ and RedLAC as conveners. CTFs at CAFÉ and RedLAC, they're being seen as conveners in two ways. One, they are seen as private conservation finance conveners. Secondly, CTFs are also seen as the conveners of the required range of partners to implement the financial mechanisms. Now, looking at CTFs as builders. Under this project, CTFs are being looked at as builders in the sense that they are uniquely positioned to build the intended nature-based solutions. And finally, CTFs under the BRIDGE project, they are also being perceived as aggregators. They are aggregators in the sense that they're being looked at as very ideal entities to aggregate or to bring together initiatives and impact at national or regional level, which can increase attractiveness for investors. So all these initiatives put together, they'll have an enviable contribution towards the green-blue economy, as well as towards the climate finance. Now, on the issue, on the green-blue economy, I think I should say something. Under this blue-green economy, there is emphasis on some specified sectors. And these are the sectors that are being emphasized under the green-blue economy. We have such sectors as the sector of agriculture, forestry, fisheries, the extractive industry, and tourism. And all these initiatives collectively will have a bearing on the realization of the 2030 goals of the global biodiversity framework. And still on the role of CTFs, in the course of implementing this project, there of CAFÉ and RedLAC, there will also be some emphasis on the sustainability of the two networks of CAFÉ and RedLAC to ensure that no barriers are there. And finally, when it comes to monitoring and evaluation, there is also emphasis to ensure that the members of CAFÉ and RedLAC, they're using methodologies that are informed and strategic. The other slide. Now, what are the projected outcomes and the goal of this project? The following are the three outcomes that are being projected under this bridge project. The first one is that the private sector will be engaged in mainstreaming biodiversity through new mechanisms that are managed by conservation trust funds. And the other outcome, which is being projected, is that there will be increased private resource mobilization by conservation trust funds. And finally, when it comes to replication and adaptation of projects by CTFs and the private sector, such initiatives will be promoted, and this will be done through the networks of CAFÉ and RedLAC. It is the understanding of this project that these outcomes will lead to the realization of the major goal of this project, which is that conservation trust funds in Latin America, the Caribbean, and Africa contribute towards the 2030 action targets through engaging the private sector in conservation finance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stein, for this contextualization of the project. Now I'm gonna continue with specific details, technical and financial details about the initiative. So as you can see here in this slide, just let me close this. As you can see here in the slide, the project is composed by three main pillars or components. I'm going to give you the details in a few seconds. The first one corresponds to the Innovation Fund. The second is capacity building and exchange between CTFs of RedLAC and CAFÉ. And the third one corresponds to knowledge management in the long term. But before I start with these details, I'm gonna explain a little bit about the governance of the project and about the different actors involved in its implementation. As you can see, the project is executed by Forever Costa Rica Association, and within the organization, there's the project coordinator, me, who will lead the financial and technical execution of the project. There's an oversight committee that provides guidance and advice to Forever Costa Rica Association regarding the implementation of the project. And this oversight committee is the ultimate decision-making body of the project. And this oversight committee is composed by representatives from both networks. The corresponding names, we can see them in this slide. We have Karen Price as president of CAFÉ, and then we have two additional members, representatives from CAFÉ Executive Committee. We have Théophile Sognou and Guillaume de Roville. Please excuse me if I pronounce their names incorrectly. And on the side of RedLAC, we have the president, Jorge Oviedo, and we also have Karen McDonald and Maria Jose Gonzalez joining in as members of this committee. So this is like the basic structure of the project so far. But under each executive committee, we have very important actors in the vest of Daniela for RedLAC as RedLAC coordinator. And then we have on CAFÉ's side, we have Stein as the coordinator of CAFÉ Secretariat. And these are very important roles because we work together, we work closely with both of them. This past week, we've been preparing this, not only this session, but other important documentation that has to be presented to the oversight committee and have the validation from this committee. One important lesson learned from Project K that was implemented and executed by FUNBIO was the idea or the need to appoint a focal point within each beneficiary CTF. And you can see this role in the screen. We know and we understand that executive directors are saturated. They have full responsibility with not just this project, but with many other initiatives. So usually their time is limited. So the idea is to have another member from the beneficiary CTFs joining in and have this close and direct communication, not only with Daniela or Stein, but with me as well. The idea is to have this flock of information and documents to get a very well understanding of the dates, the deadlines, the different activities, the projected actions in a way that the implementation of the project is successfully done. So we have these actors, but to make things a little bit more interesting, we have a second committee. We not only have the oversight committee, but we have a second one, and in this case is the selection committee. And why is that? What's the idea behind having a second committee? Well, this committee is an external independent committee who will be born in mid-2022 and will be dismissed in mid-2023 for the only purpose of evaluating and assessing the different proposals received under the components of the project. I'm going to give you the details in a few seconds, and select the beneficiary CTFs. So we want to avoid conflict of interest. We want Forever Costa Rica, MIT, Marfont, FIAES to play in equal conditions as the other CTF members from RedLAC and CAFÉ, and to be clear enough and transparent in the use of the funds. So we do not want, or the oversight committee does not want to be judge and jury in the selection process of all these proposals. As you can see here in the slides, we have one representative from FFEM and one representative from MAVA Foundation, who are both the donors of this initiative. Then we have a representative from the Conservation Finance Alliance, who is an organization who's been working with CAFÉ and RedLAC for many, many years. And then we have two external independent members appointed by both executive committees, two appointed by CAFÉ Executive Committee and two appointed by RedLAC Executive Committee. We are moving along with this task. In the coming days, we're going to have the whole list of the corresponding participants who will be part of this committee. Now, regarding the budget, as you can see, the bridge project almost reaches 5 million euros, from which 47% is provided by FFEM. Approximately 6% is provided by MAVA Foundation. And then we have 47% of the budget to be provided by the member CTFs of RedLAC and CAFÉ as matching funds, either in cash or in kind. We're going to give you these details in due time with all the guidelines and the manuals, but this is quite important to highlight because that's part of the agreements that we reach with MAVA and FFEM to implement this project. And this is a good form to visualize the hard work and the provisions made by the member CTFs in this initiative. Now getting into specific details about the activities, the specific activities of the project, I'm going to give you the details. The first one corresponds to the Innovation Fund, and you're going to see a combination of colors, color rectangles. The blue ones correspond to funds provided by FFEM. The yellow one are funds provided by MAVA Foundation, and the green one are funds, counterpart funds, matching funds to be released or to be provided by the CTFs. So the first component is, or the first pillar, the Innovation Fund, is composed by 3 different stages. In the first one, we're going to open a call for proposals where CTFs will have the opportunity to prepare and submit a concept note on diverse topics that integrate and engage the private sector into conservation efforts. And there are many shapes and forms about these alternatives. It could be payment for environmental services, it could be tourism fees, compensation and offset initiatives, carbon bonds. At Forever Costa Rica Association, we have some important experience. I'm very sure that in your corresponding CTFs, you have plenty of experience regarding these topics. So the idea is to have this call for proposals to be open in May. That's the projected proposed date. And this $30,000 that we have from MAVA are meant to hire external consultants to help the CTFs on adjusting and fixing the concept notes. They are not meant to write down and to prepare the document, the concept notes, but to collaborate on the improvement of these concept notes. In the second stage, which is the feasibility studies, the selection committee is going to meet up and evaluate and make the assessment of all concept notes received. And they're going to make a decision. They're going to select 12 of these concept notes and grant to each 20,000 euros for the development of the corresponding feasibility study. For this, we have funds from FFEM and MAVA, 240,000 euros in total. So it means that we are going to fund 12 feasibility studies, 20,000 euros each. In the third stage is the granting of additional funds for the implementation, the replication, or the scaling up of the mechanisms themselves. And for this, the selection committee is going to meet for the second time and is going to evaluate and assess all these feasibility studies received, and is going to make a decision on 10 of them and will grant this additional support between 100,000 and 150,000 euros for the implementation of the mechanisms that will take place at the end of 2002, throughout 2023, and maybe, depending on the proposal, part of 2024. It is important to highlight that in total we have 1 million euros provided by FFEM for this third stage. The green rectangle corresponds to in-kind or in-cash matching funds to be provided by the CTFs. Now, if it happens that African funds, and this is applicable only to CAFÉ members, if it happens that CAFÉ members are not able to provide these matching funds, then we have 100,000 euros provided by MAVA to be used as matching funds. And this is a decision to be made by the selection committee if that's the case that African CAFÉ members are not able to give out this amount of funds. The second, these are the projected dates that we are going to present upon the oversight committee. This is a proposal because the dates have not been yet validated, but the idea is to open up the call for proposals in mid-May. So we are around the corner. CTFs will have approximately 4 weeks to prepare and submit the concept notes. In early July, the selection committee will meet for the first time to evaluate and make the assessment of the concept note received, and they are going to make the selection of the 12 concept notes to be granted additional support for the feasibility studies. These beneficiary CTFs will have approximately 3 months to develop the feasibility studies, and then in early October, the selection committee will meet up again for the second time and will make a decision regarding the ultimate beneficiary CTFs who will get the financial support for the implementation of the mechanisms themselves, and that's phase 3. Regarding the second pillar of the project that corresponds to exchange between CTFs, we have 3 main lines. We have funds to support the annual congress of both networks. The second line corresponds to a mentorship program that will start next year. And the idea here is to have 8 mentorships where one CTF mentors another CTF, or one CTF mentors 2 or more CTFs in specific topics that integrate the private sector into the conservation efforts. So the topics could be communication, public relations, financial sustainability, fundraising, but the idea is to actively have the private sector engaged in this effort. And the third line corresponds also to an activity to start next year. And this is an important lesson learned from Project K, the communities of practice. I understand that there are several working groups, both in RedLAC and in CAFÉ. The idea is to continue this effort also in topics related to private sector engagement. And the third component corresponds to knowledge management in the long term. This is not the largest component regarding funds, but the largest in number of activities. So as you can see here in this slide, we have the first one that corresponds to supporting the financial sustainability plans of the networks. The idea is to update or to implement both plans. They were developed a few years ago, so the idea is to move along with these tools. The second line corresponds to the transition of the networks. It took place early this year for RedLAC, where Forever Costa Rica handed out the presidency and the secretariat to FIAES, and it will take place around September and October for CAFÉ. So the idea is to have very smooth transition, so in a way that the project is not obstacle, and we continue and move on with the successful implementation. The third line corresponds to the systematization of the project, all the case studies, the mentorship program, the working groups, the communities of practice, and this will be done in mature stages of the project. We also have funds to support web-based tools and virtual platforms. For example, at Project K, it was developed a platform as a way to be used as repository of information, to share documents, to get in touch with other partner CTFs. The idea is to construct and to improve this tool, this a virtual platform, or to develop a new one that it's more friendly and easier to manage. But the idea is to move along with this topic. The fifth line corresponds to the assessment of practice standards. Here at Forever Costa Rica Association, we have been working hard with a self-assessment of the practice standards developed by CFA, Conservation Finance Alliance. So the idea is to have this same platform to tropicalize it to the networks, to both networks, and to have member CTFs to make the self-assessment in order to monitor and to evaluate the way they manage their corresponding organization and trust funds. And the last line corresponds to monitoring and evaluation indicators of the project, governance, overhead, communication, tasks, salaries, contingencies, etc., that are needed for the proper operationalization of the project. This is the whole picture of the project. Not all these activities will take place in 2022 because there are so many. Over here in the slide, you can see the specific activities that we'll have in this year. So for example, we're going to have stage 1 and 2 from the Innovation Fund, and partially stage number 3. For the second pillar, we have support to the Congress to take place in Ecuador and Cameroon later this year. And for the third component, for the third pillar, we have in the screen the specific activities to be supported throughout 2022. So as you've seen, we have a lot to do. This is a teamwork where we have the presidencies, the secretariats, we have the donors, we have an implementing agency, we have partners from different parts of the world. We have many topics to develop. So there are specific components or specific elements that will open up the doors for success. So we want to share all these elements with you all to make sure that the project is successfully implemented and that we all are going to get many benefits out of this joint initiative. Should you have questions, do not hesitate to reach out to Daniela, to Stein, to myself. Over here you have our contact emails. Feel free to touch the door and we'll be very happy and glad to open up for you. Now we're gonna open the floor for questions and answers. I would like to thank you for your time and engagement. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. We'll be very happy to answer all these questions, either verbally or those who have been wrote down in the chat. Once again, thank you very much. Should you have questions, feel free to raise your hand and we are going to proceed with the corresponding clarification.
I think we have already a hand raised.
Yep, please go ahead. It's because I am not able to see it because I'm in presentation mode. Maybe Andrew, you can give us a hand, please.
Sure, we have a raised hand from Venezuela, Adriana Mejina. Maybe, I don't know if it's possible to write down the question in the chat so Leo can answer it.
Okay.
And while we have that question, we have another one from Josephine Bijimula. I would love to know if the concept development will be followed by full proposal development. Should we develop full proposal after the feasibility study?
Yeah, thank you very much for this question. Yes, as pointed out, the financial fund is composed by 3 stages. In the first one, the concept note to be prepared is very concrete, is maximum 5 pages. If your corresponding CTF moves along to the second stage, then you are going to have other documentation to develop. You're going to get into more details about financial and technical topics of the proposal. And finally, if your CTF moves on to the third stage, you're going to have to present more documents and to get deeper into the details of the project because it's the implementation itself. So each of these stages has their own annexes and their own manuals and the guidelines. We're going to share them all with you in due time. We are about to start this call for proposals. We're working hard on that, but yeah, make sure, I want you to make sure to be sure that you're going to get all this information in time. Yeah. Okay, here, okay, I can now see them. The chat. Okay, this is from Fenosoa. It says that my question is about the definition of innovation fund. Is it up to the committee or is there any definition that already clear up to now? We're working on that. We are making a proposal to the oversight committee. So I'm not going to give you the details now because these guidelines and these definitions are not official yet. But yeah, we're working on that, and in due time we're going to share these specific details with you all. It'll be our pleasure. Then we have another question from Romain Renew. Could you tell us more about the mentorship program? Yes, it is my pleasure. This mentorship program will start next year. And for this, we have funds to support 8 mentorship programs. The idea, as said before, is to have 1 mentor and 1 mentee, or 1 mentor and several mentees. And this is a lesson learned from Project K. The idea is to have the mentees learning about the way the mentor does in terms of financial management, fundraising, public relations, communications, all these topics that have to be that are related to private sector engagement in conservation efforts. So in these next days, we're going to make a survey with you all to give us specific examples on the way your corresponding CTFs are working with the private sector, and we're going to build upon these examples as a way to eventually replicate them. So each mentorship will have 20,000 euros to be granted by the project, and the idea is to cover consultants, salaries of the staff involved, workshops, field trips, etc., etc. The details, we're working on the details, and we're going to present the proposal to the oversight committee as well. But the idea is to have a knowledge experience, a knowledge exchange between the mentor and the mentees. Yeah. Let me try to get the previous questions raised. Okay. I just have these 2 questions that were wrote down in the chat. If you would like to make verbal questions, please go ahead, feel free. I'm gonna open up the other chat. Okay, we have another question from Maria Alexandra. Thank you. What is the time commitment expected for the members of CTFs to participate in the committees? Thank you very much for this question. For the selection committee, it'll be around 1 year. We're going to have a first meeting to evaluate and assess, or the committee will have a first meeting to evaluate and assess all the concept notes received, and the second meeting will take place to assess and make the evaluation of the feasibility studies received. So this committee will be born, as mentioned earlier, in mid-2022, and will be dismissed in mid-2023. And this committee will also select the proposals for the mentorship program. And regarding the oversight committee will be present throughout the execution of the project. So starting 2022 until the very end, mid-2026. We expect, or we foresee, to have about 3 meetings per year, at least 1 in person, and the other meetings virtual, making use of the corresponding platforms. So the idea is to have this committee providing guidance and advice to the implementing organization, Forever Costa Rica. We have another question. Avez-vous un modèle standard exemple pour les concept notes? Do you have a format for the concept notes? Not yet. We are working on this, but very soon we are going to have all these documents available for you all. The annexes, the documents, the guidelines, the manuals, the rules, everything will be very, very clear, so that before or right after the call for proposals is open, you are going to have this information in your CTFs. And for this, we are going to work hard with Danny and with Stein.
Okay. So we have also several questions in the chat.
All right, let me see. I have a question from, okay, there are several questions from Guillaume. Can we make a joint proposal with one or more other CTFs? In the proposal, we are putting that option, but at the end is the oversight committee who makes the decision. Yeah, we are thinking to have this opportunity because, for example, we have Pacifico. Pacifico is a CTF that is composed by several individual CTFs. So yeah, we are thinking on that, but at the end is the oversight committee who makes the decision. We have another question from Fenosoa. Can new CTF not yet created but operational within 1 or 2 years be eligible to the bridge opportunity? Bridge initiative is available for member CTFs from CAFÉ and from RedLAC. External organizations that do not belong to either network cannot apply directly into the initiative, but eventually could serve as partners to another member CTF who submits a proposals to who submit a proposal to the project. Benedict Muyal, under mentorship, is there consideration for short courses that are beneficial to mentees? It is up to each CTF. It could be workshops, it could be courses, it could be consultants. It depends on each proposal. I cannot tell you right now yes or no, because we are still working on the documents and the guidelines, and at the end, as said earlier, the oversight committee makes the final decision. Manuel Serrao, I just would like to congratulate you for the advances of Project K. The engagement of private sector is a huge challenge for the CTFs. I really believe that this project will make the CTF's learning curve move faster. Thank you very much for your comment, Manuel. We have learned a lot. We learned a lot from Project K, and definitely we are building upon the lessons learned and positive results from Project K. So thank you very much for your words. Romain Cana, what would be the process to select the 8 mentors? Since this activity, since this action will start next year, we haven't yet started with the preparation of the documents. We are moving hard with the innovation fund. We're working with the guidelines and the manuals. Later this year, we are gonna get into these details. And again, it is up to the selection committee to make the final decision about this selection process. Raymond Kijenga, what is the maximum budget amount would be offered for a single project? There's no limit. It depends on the proposal. It depends on the idea presented and submitted by each CTF. It could be a small local scale financial mechanism in a specific community. It could be a financial project that is nationwide. It all depends on what you want to develop. But from the side of Bridge project, again, we're also working on this. We are proposing to provide grants for the implementation of the mechanism itself. We are proposing to the oversight committee to offer grants between 100,000 euros and 150,000 euros to each beneficiary CTF. But it might happen that the committee says, no, 150,000 is not much. Let's raise the bar and let's grant 200,000 euros to each winner proposal. Or it could be the opposite. They could say, no, let's make this process more democratic. Let's lower the bar and let's grant 100,000 euros to each beneficiary CTF for the implementation of the mechanism. Serge Nana, excuse me again if I pronounce your corresponding names incorrectly. Could you please tell me more on the self-assessment of CFA practice standards? Would it be then funded for doing so? Yeah, the idea is to hire external consultants, not just to have this tool available online in a virtual platform, but to accompany, to help CTFs making this self-assessment. At Forever Costa Rica Association, we've been working in the past 2 years with a group of consultants who are guiding us throughout this process. It's not been easy, but the benefits that we will get out of it are enormous. So the idea is to tropicalize this tool developed by CFA and to have these external consultants guide and help the CTFs who would like to make it, who would like to join. This initiative is voluntarily, is not mandatory, to join in the self-assessment process and to get an evaluation and to monitor the way each CTF is managed. I have to be honest with you, we have not started with these details yet. This is expected to start in mid-2022. And again, all these details and all the specific information will be shared gladly with you all in due time. We still have a few minutes left before we dismiss this session. Eventually, please feel free to send out all questions through our emails, and we'll be more than happy and glad to answer them. We have one question from Benedict Mujale. Is it clear that for Innovation Fund components, CTFs will apply during call for proposals? Yes. What other two components, how will CTFs access financial support to implement the last two components? For the second component, you're gonna get a grant, or the beneficiary CTFs will get a grant of 20,000 to 20,000 euros each, provided by Bridge Project. But eventually you can partner with other allies, with the private sector, with government agencies, with multilateral or bilateral organizations who can also provide funding support to this initiative. And that also applies to the third stage. You can also partner with other allies and get financial support from them as well. Kathy is okay. I think I saw a comment from Kathy. Hi, please keep in mind that more sessions will come soon and with more detailed information. Yeah, we are working on that. We just started this project almost 2 months ago, so we are running with all these documents and with all these processes, but with the help of Jorge, Karen, Stein, Danny, Andrea, Kathy, with this teamwork, we have done enormous things and we are moving very, very well. So shortly, we're going to release and we're going to share with you further information about not just these specific details that we're giving out today, but about other activities and lines of action of the project. It's almost 7 o'clock Costa Rican time, 3 p.m. if I understand in Malawi. In Jamaica, it's 8 o'clock. So we are reaching out to the end of this session. Personally, from my side and on behalf of my colleagues, we would like to thank you all again for this participation in this session. Tomorrow, we're going to have a second session for Spanish-speaking CTFs. Once again, feel free to reach out to us should you have any questions. We'll be very, very glad and happy to guide you and to clarify all these doubts that you might have. So once again, thank you very much, and we wish you all a happy day. Thank you very much. Goodbye.